There are way too many YouTube videos about creating snares, but do they actually work? Most of the times they don't, and I'm guilty of that myself, because the snare videos that I've been making recently, they just give too much information. Like, it takes a long time. You need to train your ears to get the balance right. It's 5 or 6 serum layers, it's visualizers, it's just over the top complicated. So I decided to come up with this simplified solution that I'm freaking sure it works, guys. It works with deeper drum and bass, with dance floor bangers, with Neurofunk, with Liquid. Of course, it depends on the track and you might want to use a different approach, but trust me, once you create a template like the one that I'm going to show you in this video, your snare problems will be eliminated. So let's get started. This is a freaking amazing one. So we will create a simple snare punchy, like a simple punchy snare, but we will also create a few macros to make sure it works every single time. So LFO number 1, we put it to the level of our oscillator A, not full power, I will go like 85% amplitude right here. Now we choose an analog sine wave, randomness phase to 0, and we end up having this little like sine wave attack like this. Next thing you want to do is you want to apply 2 coarse pitch modulations with an LFO. And why 2? Well, because when they stack one on top of another, they create a more firm sound. So I'm going to put this LFO in an envelope mode and draw a very similar LFO picture as in the first one. Remove the BPM mode because I want to be more precise and move it over to coarse pitch right here. Then I click Shift plus Alt plus left mouse click right here and turn the coarse pitch into the monopolar mode. So now we have that lasery pointy sound. We need to make sure we get rid of that. So let's go and turn that LFO rate up. Sounds a lot faster. Now what we want to do next is we want to go to third LFO and do the same thing all over again. Make sure it's fast enough. Now you want to determine like how fast do I want my actual attack to be. So I would say that a starting point would be somewhere around here. Don't do it too fast. It's good enough. We will readjust this one later. We'll come back to it. Maybe we can actually open a, like, use a free BPM as well. Envelope mode, very important. I missed that. Just make sure that it barely clicks. It's barely audible. Don't make it like really fast. Now we need to create a 4th LFO for white noise. So we go to envelope mode, create a full loudness white noise. We can create a little bit bigger a pre-delay. It also doesn't matter. We can turn off the BPM mode and just create something like this. Now we want to remove some of the low end from this noise because it's all over the spectrum. It's a little bit too much. So let's create the noise filter. So it sounds pretty powerful already, but now what we want to do is we want to go here, distortion, choose a soft clipper and drive it a little bit. Now next thing is master volume. Let's make it louder. There you go. This is a snare. It might be a little bit too loud, this like oscillator, so we might pull it back a little bit. Sounds a bit better. So now what we want to do is we want to make sure that this snare is usable for every track. So what we do here is we create a few macros. Macros number 1 is the length of the actual snare, because if you go like lower in the octave, if you go like a few semitones down, the chances are, if you have a very sharp and very short level LFO, like the one that we have, you just won't hear it because it's physics. The lower you go in the spectrum, the lower is the wavetable. Like the slower is the wavetable, so it's going to not reach your ears even. So we make sure that we create a macros that has a little bit of that speed variation. Let's make starting point a bit lower so that we can use it for lower snares. Maybe that's too much. Something like that. And we can use this macro. I will call it punch speed. So we can now play around with it. I think this is the rate is a little bit too high. Let's make sure to keep it fairly reasonable. Yeah, this is all right. And next thing we want to do is we want to create a similar thing with the white noise. So noise speed. Let's create that as well. And obviously it doesn't have to be really really slow, but we need to, like, the starting point is better to be a little bit slower because you might want your snare to be lower than this. This is a very high pitched snare that we have right now. So let's just move the rate overall a little bit lower, like this. And we can speed it up to whatever values we want. So right now, you can see I'm already adjusting and making it sound kind of better. Next thing I want to do is I want to create a pitch. So like a pitch macro. So I'm going to default the semitones to 0 right here. And I'm going to drag this macros across to semitones. And we will call it pitch. Let's just call it like a snare pitch. But once again, the starting point is really low. So you might want to go like lower and then make your way up if you want to. So the next one, you know, you can apply it to multiple things. You can apply it to some filters, some effects, something like that to make the noise sound a little bit different. But I like just to use like a pitch shift on the white noise. So I'll call it like noise shift or something like that. And just make a slight, like gentle macro here with not as big amplitude or anything. So that kind of makes the snare sound slightly different every single time. So we got ourselves like a very simple template that seems to work. Now what we want to do is we want to save it up so we can use it. Now what we want to do is we want to save it so we can use it every time we want. Let's call it snare 2 because I have already got a similar template called snare 1. So where's the sound? So I saved the template and now I can use it every single time. It's very nice because I have multiple modes that I can play around with. But also, more importantly, like this is a fundamental layer that you just can stop thinking about right now. You can apply it to your track with like some other layer, for example, like a very simple addictive drums layer. And you can just adjust a few macros here and there, and every time the result will be slightly different in the context of the track, in the context of the other snare layer that creates like a ring sound or something, like depends what you want to go for. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to open some addictive drums pack and I'm going to choose a snare from here. Let's see. Oh, this one is pretty awesome. No, this one has a lot of ring. It's almost like the drumstick hits a circle of the drum, like the metallic part. So I like that. So we will create a little bit of a pre-delay. Something like this, maybe. Turn off all the effects. No alts. Clicking that is very important right here because it's like randomness phase. Turning that off. And now let's play around with the volume and the pitch. I don't like the headroom and everything. It's a little too much, but it does sound pretty good. So let's, yeah, sounds pretty interesting. Now let's make it a bit louder on the master end here. Okay, that's too long. Maybe we can try a different snare. Oh, this is pretty cool, but I feel like there is a lot of There's like a lot of room there. Yeah, it's way too much. There's like some... Oh yeah, now it's better. It's really dry now. Cool. Cool, cool. So you can see how this method works very well. One thing you want to do though, you want to, like the second layer, you definitely want to remove some of that low end. Yeah, cool, keep it clean. Now let's create a little bit of room for this layer as well. Pretty freaking good. Now you can play around, twist it to your liking. Choose a different snare if you want. Whatever you like, guys. If you want to go like more narrow, you just want to go a little bit longer punch speed, a little lower snare pitch, noise shift. There you go. This is pretty much a Neurofunk snare. All you need to do right now is to glue them together on some third like mixer track, for example, right here. Call it all snare. And let's just add some of that wave shaper, baby. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to learn more from me, join my music school. I will leave the link to my Discord in the description. Also, please go back to my website called arcsamples.com. Snares like this and way more cool, I have them in my sample packs, which are all for sale on that website. So I'll see you guys in the next video.